Tonight, your phone might ring, not from a scam caller, not from a wrong number, but from someone who shouldn't be able to call anymore. 4 stories tonight. Some are true, some are fiction. But each one left someone staring at their phone, wondering who was really on the other end. I'm Quackster, and this is Quack in the Dark. One story tonight is true. The rest aren't. Let's begin. Losing someone is never easy. But the strange thing about grief is how often we find ourselves reaching for our phones, scrolling through old messages, old voicemails, little pieces of conversations we're not ready to let go of yet. Because once someone is gone, those messages are sometimes all that's left. But what would you do if one of those messages suddenly replied? Our first story tonight begins with a nurse working the overnight shift and a text message that arrived 3 days after her father's funeral. Title: Typing. Megan was working the late night shift at a hospital, the kind of quiet shift where nothing happens for hours. Around 2:13 a.m., she got a text from her dad. The message said, "Are you awake?" Her stomach dropped, because her dad had died 3 days earlier. Heart attack. She stared at the phone for a long time. Maybe it was someone else using his phone. She replied, "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared. Typing. Then the message came, "You left the porch light on." Her house was 40 miles away. Her hands started shaking. She opened the home security app on her phone. The camera was pointed at the porch, and the porch light was on. But something else was there too. A man standing under the light, looking directly at the camera, holding her father's phone. The next text arrived. "He told me to tell you good night." Police arrived 20 minutes later. The man was gone. The phone? Still sitting on the porch, unlocked, with the message thread still open. The last text had been sent after police arrived. Police searched that property that night. The yard, the porch, even the surrounding street. But whoever had been standing under that porch light was never found. And the phone that sent the messages, it still showed the contact name saved in Megan's phone. Dad. Do you believe that this was inspired by actual events? Or are we just another 3 dots away from the truth? Driving through a city after midnight can feel strange. The streets are quieter, the buildings look different, and sometimes you realize just how empty the roads are. Rideshare drivers often say most passengers are quiet. Most ride nights are uneventful, but every once in a while, someone gets into the car who doesn't belong there. Our next story begins outside a hotel on a rainy night with a passenger named Emily. Driving at night changes how a city feels. During the day, everything is loud, crowded, busy. But after midnight, the streets stretch out like empty hallways. Daniel liked that part of the job. He drove rideshare mostly on weekend nights. It paid better, less traffic, and most passengers were either tired, drunk, or just plain quiet, which suited him just fine. That night, rain had been falling steadily since about 11 p.m. Not a heavy storm, just enough to make the pavement shine under the streetlights. Daniel had been driving for about 4 hours when the app chimed. New ride request. Pickup location, the Carlton Hotel. He accepted the ride and followed the GPS. The hotel entrance was dimly lit. Only a single doorman stood under the awning, scrolling on his phone. Daniel pulled to the curb and checked the passenger name. Emily. A moment later, the back door opened. A woman climbed into the seat behind him. Daniel glanced briefly in the mirror. She looked young. Maybe late 20s. Dark coat. Wet hair clinging slightly to her face from the rain. She closed the door gently. Not a word. Daniel tapped start ride. So, where to tonight, he asked. Her voice was soft, almost distant. Maple Street. That was it. No small talk. No extra directions. Just Maple Street. Daniel nodded and pulled away from the hotel. The rain tapped steadily against the windshield. The wipers moved back and forth with a slow rhythm. For the first few minutes, neither of them spoke. Daniel tried once more. Temperature okay back there? No answer. He assumed she was just tired. Happened all the time. People worked late, drank late, or simply didn't feel like talking. 10 minutes passed. The GPS said they were halfway to Maple Street. The roads were mostly empty now. Daniel glanced up at the rearview mirror and immediately felt a strange drop in his stomach. The back seat was empty. He blinked. Looked again. Still empty. Daniel's brain tried to make sense of it. Maybe she had leaned down to grab something? Maybe she had slid over to the other side of the seat. He slowed the car and looked back over his shoulder. The seat was completely empty. No passenger. No open door. No movement. Just the dark fabric of a black seat. His pulse jumped. Daniel pulled the car to the side of the road. Rain tapped louder on the roof now, and the engine was idle. He stepped out and walked around the vehicle. The back door was still closed. Locked. There was no way someone could have gotten out without him noticing. Slowly, he climbed into the driver's seat. His heart was beating faster now. He looked at the rideshare app. The ride was still active. Still charging. Still running. Passenger name, Emily. Daniel hesitated before pressing end ride. The moment he did, the screen changed. The app asked him to rate the passenger. 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. But something caught his eye. The passenger profile picture appeared behind the rating screen. Daniel leaned closer. It was her. The same woman who had gotten into his car. Same coat. Same face. Same dark hair. But below the profile photo was a small line of text. Account status, inactive. And underneath that, user deceased. Daniel frowned. Maybe it was some strange error? Maybe someone had reused an old account? But another detail made his chest tighten. The profile listed the last recorded ride location, the exact intersection where Daniel had picked her up, and beneath that, the date of death, 2 years earlier. Daniel stared at the screen for a long moment. Then the app made a soft notification sound. A message had appeared in the ride history. One line. One sentence. Thanks for the ride. But the timestamp said the message hadn't been sent 3 minutes before he even arrived at the hotel. Daniel never saw the woman again, but the ride history remained in the app. 1 completed trip, 1 passenger rating, and 1 message sent from the account. Thanks for the ride. Is this story true? Or are we just counting the minutes of your time? Before we continue tonight's stories, I want to take a quick moment to thank everyone listening to Quack in the Dark. If you've been enjoying these late night stories, you can really help the show grow by doing 3 simple things. First, make sure you follow or subscribe wherever you're listening right now. That way you won't miss the next episode. And trust me, some of the stories coming up get even darker. Second, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anything that allows it, please take a moment to leave a 5-star review. It helps new listeners discover the show, and it keeps these stories coming. And finally, if one of tonight's stories makes you glance over your shoulder or turn on that extra light in the house, share this episode with someone who loves creepy stories as much as you do. Because the more people listening, the more strange stories we can uncover. Alright, let's get back to it. Let's turn the lights back down and get back to the darkness. The Night Worker. Office buildings change at night. During the day, they're filled with voices, footsteps, and ringing phones. But after midnight, they feel like empty shells. Security guards know this feeling better than anyone. Most nights are quiet, routine, but sometimes Something moves through a building after everyone has gone home. And when that happens, the cameras usually catch it. Usually. Our third story tonight follows a security guard named Lewis. During a patrol he would never forget. Office buildings feel strange after midnight. During the day, they're full of movement, phones ringing, people talking, keyboards clicking. But at night, those same buildings feel like empty shells. Lewis knew them well. He had worked security for nearly 6 years, and the building he watched over had 8 floors. Every hour, Lewis had to make a round. Check doors, check stairwells, check that nothing strange was happening. Most nights were boring, almost painfully boring. But boring was good. Boring meant nothing was wrong. Around 2:30 a.m., Lewis began his third patrol of the night. He rode the elevator to the top floor first, then worked his way down. Floor 8 was empty, floor 7 was quiet, floor 6, nothing unusual. Then he looked down the hallway towards the 5th floor stairwell. Something caught his eye. Motion lights were on. Lewis frowned. That floor had been empty for months. An entire office had moved out earlier that year. No employees. No furniture. Just empty rooms. The lights shouldn't be on. He walked towards the stairs slowly. The lights flickered slightly as he stepped onto the floor. Then, they shut off. Darkness swallowed the hallway. Lewis stopped walking. His flashlight beam cut through the darkness. "Hello?" he called. His voice echoed softly off the empty walls. No answer. Lewis continued forward carefully. That's when he heard it. Footsteps. Behind him. Slow. Barely louder than a whisper. Like someone walking softly on a tile. Lewis turned quickly. His flashlight beam swept across the hallway. Nothing. Empty corridor. Closed office doors. Silence. He waited a few seconds, then turned back toward the stairwell. The footsteps started again. Right behind him. Lewis spun around once more. Still nothing. His chest tightened now. Security guards developed instincts. And right now, his instincts were telling him something was wrong. Then he heard something else. A voice. Soft, whispering from the stairwell. Wrong floor. Lewis froze. Every muscle in his body tensed. He stepped forward to the stairwell door and pulled it open. The stairwell was empty. Just concrete steps spiraling downward. Lewis quickly finished the rest of his patrol and returned to the security desk. His nerves were still on edge, so he did what most guards do when something feels off. He checked the cameras. The building had cameras in nearly every hallway. Lewis rewound the footage to when he was on the 5th floor. and the video showed him walking down the hallway. Flashlight in hand, everything looked normal. Then Lewis leaned closer to the monitor. Something was moving behind him. A shape. Tall, thin, walking slowly down the hallway, about 5 feet behind him, following him, step for step. Lewis felt the back of his neck go cold because he knew something about that hallway, something no one else would know. He was the one who installed the cameras in the building, and there was no camera in that hallway. When Lewis checked those cameras again the following morning, the shadow behind him was gone. Only the empty hallway remained. No second figure, no footsteps, just Lewis. Walking alone. Running a podcast means hearing from listeners all over the world. Some people send suggestions, some send their own strange experiences, and sometimes someone sends a message that makes you pause before pressing play. Late one night, an email arrived from a listener who claimed something strange had happened while listening to this very podcast. They said they fell asleep during an episode, but when they woke up, a different voice was telling them the stories. Our final story tonight begins with that recording, titled After Midnight Stories. Running a podcast means reading a lot of strange messages. Some listeners send suggestions, creepy experiences, and sometimes people send things that are difficult to explain. One night, Kyle received an email. Subject line, "You should hear this." The message was short, almost rushed. It read, "Hey Kyle, I listen to your podcast almost every night before bed. Something weird happened last night. I fell asleep while your episode was still playing, and when I woke up, it wasn't your voice anymore." The email continued, "I thought maybe the app switched episodes, but the voice sounded wrong. It was telling stories I had never heard before. So I recorded part of it, and there was an audio file attached." Kyle downloaded it, pressed play. At first, everything sounded normal. The same intro music, the same ambient background. Then the voice changed. Low, distorted, almost mechanical. The voice said only one sentence, slowly. Clearly, some of the stories are listening back. The recording cut off, but something else was strange. When the listener checked the podcast app, the episode they had been listening to hadn't been released yet. The listener insisted they had never heard that voice before, and when they checked the episode they were listening to, it hadn't even been released. Tonight you heard 4 stories. A nurse who received a message from her father 3 days after his funeral. A rideshare driver whose passenger disappeared from the back seat while the doors were still locked. A security guard who watched security footage of someone walking behind him in a hallway where no camera had ever been installed. And a podcast listener who woke up to a voice telling stories that had never been recorded. 3 of those stories were fiction. One of them actually happened. But the truth might not be the one you expect. Because sometimes the real story is even stranger than the one we tell. So before you go to sleep tonight, think carefully. Which story do you believe was real? Was it the message, the passenger, the shadow, or the voice? Make your choice now, because in the next episode, we reveal the truth. And once you hear the real story, you might start looking at your phone differently. Especially when it lights up after midnight. You can also come to my Discord, Facebook, or anywhere you would like to contact me, and we can have a lively discussion about this episode. Would love to hear from all of you. I'm Quackster, and this has been Quack in the Dark. Sleep well. But if your phone buzzes tonight, you might want to check who it's from. Good night.